Welcome everyone to the Committee of Adjustment meeting. The committee is made up of 5 members. I'm a public member. My name is Harm Zelstra, and I'll be the chair this evening. And on my immediate left is Doug Phillips, public member, and on his left is public member Paul Lafferty, and public member David Jesse is virtual or absent? Okay.
Swapnil, did David Jesse indicate he was participating virtually? No?
No?
Okay.
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 And on our far left is Councillor Jim Ellier. On my immediate right is Anne Marie Cunningham. She's the Committee of Adjustment Coordinator. And with us virtually is Kelly West, Manager of Planning Services. Because this is a hearing under the Planning Act, when the committee gets to the applications for consideration, each application will be brought up in the order listed on the agenda with an opportunity for public input given prior to discussion and consideration by the committee. If you wish to make a comment, please raise your hand to be recognized by the chair. Consent decisions made tonight will have a last day of appeal of March 6, 2025, and minor variance decisions made tonight will have a last day of appeal of March 5th, 2025. If anyone wishes to receive a copy of one of the notices of decision, please use the pad of paper provided by the sign-in sheet or email Anne Marie if you're meeting virtually to indicate your name, mailing address or email address and which decision you would like a copy of, and it will be sent to you. If anyone has not signed in on the sign-in sheet, please do so, as this is used for the minutes of the meeting. Thank you.
I think our board member Jesse is on virtual.
Oh, okay. Public member David Jesse just came on virtually. Good to see you, David.
Hi, everyone.
Could I have any disclosures of pecuniary interest?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I've filed a proper documentation with the Secretary. I have a conflict on item K of the agenda. As you recall, this severance back, now they're asking for a review of it. I do farm and crop the land in question, so I have made the proper documentation, and when you get to that, I will withdraw from the room.
Okay. Could I have approval of the agenda for this evening? Moved by Doug, seconded by Paul. All in favor? Carried. And approval of the minutes of December the 12th, 2024. A mover, Paul and Doug. I'll try not to ignore you down there, Jesse. David, sorry. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We've got quite a few applications tonight, so we'll try to go through them as quickly and as efficiently as possible. The committee has had these reports since Friday of last week, so we've had a chance to go and visit these sites. Some of them are familiar to us, and some of them are new to us. So, first application is B1-25M. The owner is Sharon Irene Blanchette. The address is Part Lot 9, Concession 1. The address is 17282 Highway 2 in Murray Ward. And the purpose of the application is to sever a parcel of land which would create one new vacant lot. The vacant lot would have a frontage of 213.1 meters, a depth of 192.8 meters, and total area of 4.14 hectares. And the retained would have a frontage of 73.4 meters, a depth of 267.2 meters, and total area of 4.14 hectares. So splitting it in half. Any comments or concerns from the public regarding this application?
We own land adjacent to this, when this piece of land is sold.
Could you come up to the podium, please, and introduce yourself for us?
My name is John Lafferty, and we own land adjacent to this application. Once it's done, I would like to know what they're going to use this land for.
Kelly, do you know what they propose for the severed lot?
So I'm not at liberty to say exactly, but the property would be within our urban area boundary for Planning District 10A, which does allow for a variety of commercial uses.
So it's going to be commercial then? And what
So-
will be going on this commercial site? You're telling me that this property is going to be commercial?
That's correct, yep.
And what would be going on this commercial site?
I'm sorry, I missed that?
What would be going on this commercial site?
I'm not at liberty to say at this point in time. There is a variety of commercial uses that would be permitted.
Thank you for your attention.
Any other comments or concerns for this application? Hearing none. Any comments or concerns from the public? Or from the committee, rather, sorry? Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Doug, second by Jim. That application B1-25M by Sharon Irene Blanchette to sever a parcel of land at 17282 Highway 2, Part Lot 9, Concession 1 in the former Township of Murray is hereby approved, subject to the following conditions. One, that a registered survey for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. Two, that a draft transfer for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. Three, that the tax account for the subject property be paid up to date. Four, that parcels of land measuring 15 meters from the center line of the road along the frontage and severed and retained lands along County Road 40 and Highway 2 be conveyed for road widening purposes to the city at no cost to the satisfaction of Public Works. And five, that a daylight triangle measuring 36 meters along County Road 40 and 12 meters along Highway 2 as measured from the property line along the retained lands be conveyed to the city at no cost to the municipality for road widening purposes to the satisfaction of Public Works. And that's to match the daylighting triangle on the northeast intersection, corner intersection. And six, that a minor variance be in effect for the retained lands pursuant to the Planning Act, or that the existing non-complying structures be removed from the property with all the necessary permits obtained to the satisfaction of the city. So there is a choice there. One, well, they're both going to cost you. The rezoning, or the minor variance, rather, there's a fee for that, and obviously for removing the structures, there's fees for that as well. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. I would say just notify Anne Marie what the decision is and go from there. Next application is consent application B2-25M. Rick Lang, the owner. legal description is part lots 13, 14, concession A and B, address 751 Power Line Road. And the purpose of the application is to sever a parcel of land for surplus farm dwelling purposes, which would create one new developed lot. The severed lot would have a frontage of 45 meters, a depth of 109.4 meters, and area of 0.49 hectares. And the retained would have a frontage of 377.8 meters, a depth of 926.8 meters, and total area of 41.4 hectares. Any comments or concerns from the public regarding this application? Hearing none. Any comments or concerns from the committee members? Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Paul. Second by Jim. That application B2-25M by Richard Lang to sever a parcel of land for surplus farm dwelling purposes at 751 Power Line Road, part lots 13 and 14, concession A and B in the former township of Murray is hereby approved, subject to the following conditions. One, that a registered survey for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. Two, that a draft transfer for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. Three, that the tax account for the subject property be paid up to date. Four, that a parcel of land measuring 10 meters from the center line of the road along the frontage of the severed and retained lands along Power Line Road be conveyed for road widening purposes to the city at no cost to the satisfaction of Public Works, and that a zoning bylaw amendment be in effect for the severed and retained lands pursuant to the Planning Act. And six, that the applicant enter into an agreement with the city written and registered on title by the city councilor at the applicant's cost, addressing the owner's obligation to notify any purchaser of the inability to construct a dwelling on the retained lot. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next application is consent application B3-25S. Dean and Brenda Ross are the owners. Holly Farrell is the agent. The legal description is part lot 8, concession 3. The address is 567 Johnstown Road. The proposed lot is across from 816 Bonesteel Road in Sydney Ward. The purpose of the application is to sever a parcel of land which would create one new vacant lot. The severed parcel would have a frontage of 45.2 meters, a depth of 94.4 meters, a total area of 0.4 hectares, and the retained would have a frontage of 185.4 meters, a depth of 368.8 meters, and total area of 6.2 hectares. Any comments or concerns from the public? Yes, sir.
How you doing, Jim? It's Ralph Harder. I am the owner and the director of M&W Harder Brothers at 872 Bonesteel Road. We have a farm that's 458.1 acres. And this has been brought to the attention of Quinte West Anne Marie. She knows quite well what I'm going to be talking about. Is the lot that's in question is the quarter lot of the southeast quarter of lot 8. And it's the deed that was used to sever this lot off, this 18 acres off, was the southwest quarter of lot 8, owned by Harrison and Viola Harder. That's fine, said, I hope that they can build there. But Jim and Barbara Harder, who owns the rest of the southwest quarter of lot 8, in 19, yeah. Let me get this right. In 1996, registered 18 acres on the west side of the fence row of that lot in their name, and it's on my tax roll number. It's it's legally, they moved the lot lines, impact. And all these lots are out of thing. I have a deed, my dad, back in 1914, my grandfather passed down to my dad and uncle, to me, that takes in this. It used to be lot 7 and 8. Now it's 8 and 8, the west side of that property. And Jim and Barb I'm going to lose 50 acres here. Because as soon as I survey the rest of the southwest quarter of lot 8, which is supposed to be lot 7, Jim and Barb can claim it too. And there's a nice, pretty little house on it, out front, and it's A1 farmland. And I sent this into Quinte West and Impact, stating there's a big problem here. The tower antenna that was put on Stickles Road was brought up again, because the center of said lot 6 isn't at the Commissioner's Stone, at the corner of Stickles and Harder Road. It's now over at the old schoolhouse. So that property to the west of my 400 acres is legally mine on the deed, and the Bonesteel property just changed hands. They severed 2 acres off for the barn house and sold it, and I was waiting for them to come and see me about the deed, because what survey are we dealing with here? I feel sorry for Brendan and Dean Ross, who severed the lot from their mom, paid for it, built a house, and now really they don't own it, because Harrison and Viola never owned the southeast quarter of lot 8. And who does own the southeast quarter of lot 8?
It's Watson Surveyors.
Yes, I have that. But Jim Sandercock probably holds the deed for Everett Harry's for the southeast quarter of lot 8. All these lots are out of sync. They're all moved from the river all the way through to Aikens Road on the 3rd concession. They're not right. I have a Miller Surveying has explained it to me, and I'm willing to give the package to you to explain what is going on here.
Kelly, sorry to interrupt.
I'm sorry if my voice goes up, but it's just,
No,
yeah.
I understand your frustration, because it sounds like this is an ongoing legal
It's
issue.
been going on for years. The
Yeah.
roadstone was taken out when the monument was removed, when it was the road widening in 83 when my dad incorporated. They had to give up the land, the strip of land. They widened the roads 15 feet. Dad and Wynn signed, Harrison signed.
Yeah.
And they signed giving Sydney Township 15 feet of land. And it wasn't theirs, apparently. We don't know. And it's huge. I would like Mr. Bates to come and speak to you on his property, which is on the west side of Leslie Bonesteel's property. And he will go through what he's went through to try and get his deed set so he can sell his property. And it's all looped together here.
Good day, my name's Bob Bates. I live at 329 Johnstown Road. In 1962, my father-in-law bought the property we are now living on, and it was registered as Lot 5, complete section of Lot 5. On his passing, we went to the lawyer to transfer the property into my wife's name, and we found out that the legal description of our property does not match the physical description, because somebody moved the lot line, and now instead of owning Lot 5, we own part of Lot 5 and part of Lot 6. So I came to the city, and I asked them for help on it, and I got no help. I got told to go to Impact. So I went to Impact, and they told me to go to the registry office. So I went to the registry office, and I just got run in circles. So I hired a lawyer. And now years have passed. My lawyer is fighting with the registry office because I have a current survey. And we just are not getting anywhere except spending money. And like I've called counselors, I've called the mayor, I've called everyone, and they just keep saying, we can't help you with this, we can't help you with this. So I haven't got my bill yet from my lawyer. He's hoping to get this in front of a judge early of this year. But that's where I'm at. I have to go to a judge because someone drew a line on a map that made no sense at all. It moves everybody's property to the west.
Yeah. It sounds like we got a real mess here. Kelly, have you got a solution for what these neighbors have been discussing?
And my concern is this, okay? If someone can register a piece of property that isn't theirs, it makes for awful bad neighbors.
It sure does. Sure does.
So, like, I think it would be in the interest of Quinte West to sit down and look at this. I mean, I'm gonna have to pay my lawyer regardless. But this young lady who wants to sever a lot is in the same boat that I'm in. You know, like, some people have gone to the registry office and said, I want to register my lot. And it gets done. I went to the registry office and said, I want to register my lot, and they said, no. I gave them a current survey, which was done, let's see here, in 17, June 29th of 17, just after my father-in-law passed away. And the first thing they said to me was, we want another survey. Now, this is a farm survey. It doesn't show buildings. It just shows lot lines and fences. $6,000.
Yeah, I know it gets expensive.
And then the first thing they say to me is, we need another survey.
Kelly,
Nothing's changed.
could you
All
pipe
the
in
iron
here,
bars-
please?
What's that?
I'm just asking Kelly. She's our area planner.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yeah, I don't, I don't have anything to add. I think that the gentleman is going through the steps that I would have suggested. And that, yes, unfortunately, I think, going towards, in front of a judge is probably going to be the best bet to get it resolved.
Does, to you, Kelly, does this have an impact on the property that we're dealing with right now?
I own that property, and I don't think it does.
I don't know, offhand, because I think, the two gentlemen, your properties are north of Bonesteel Road.
No,
And this
mine's on
property is south of.
Johnstown Road. My property's on Johnstown Road.
Yeah,
It's south. I'm south of Bonesteel.
south of there.
South and north of Bonesteel Road, 450, 58.1
So it's both sides of the road.
Yes. And I'm not allowed to build on it because it's A1 farmland.
Yeah,
And Maria's very, every time I deal with Quinte West or Sydney Township back in the day, it's nothing but problems. You gotta have money. And to solve the problem, I've decided that if this isn't resolved, okay, there's a pretty little house on this 18 acres under my tax roll number. And I think I'm just gonna go and build a house without getting permits. And when you put a stop work on it, and I go.
well, that's adding wood to the fire.
I don't wanna do that, eh? But nobody seems to wanna do anything here.
Well,
And Mr. Miller, Sterling,
Yeah.
County Road 22 had the same problem years ago. And they straightened it out, the province, there's money. I spoke to the lady that was on the committee. The committee, and they said it just pits one neighbor against the other, and the province set aside money to straighten this out.
Yeah.
So why aren't they using it?
I can't answer for them.
We got a young lady that wants to come back into the community that's been in, the Harder name has been in this community for years. For
Yeah.
100 years it's been there. And all this comes to light, and it's only gonna make man, Impact, he even said, JP over John Paul over at Impact said, Larry Harder will not be happy with anything I'm doing up front, because he's gonna get 15 acres, or 18 acres that he's never done anything for. And if I survey the rest of the farm, he gets another 32. He's using the deed for the southwest quarter of Lot 8 to secure 80 acres, or 50 acres, and he's already got 32, and Brenda and Dean have taken the other 18.
I'll get to you.
Let Brenda talk to it.
Yeah,
Anyway, that's my,
yeah, like I said, we've got a whole kettle of fish here that's really out of our hands,
well,
and,
actually, it's not, because someone approved this lot line move at some time, so I don't know when it was done. You know, I just know that my lawyer had a terrible time, means money,
yeah.
because of a line on the map that makes no sense whatsoever.
Okay, sir,
Okay.
thank you.
I'm Holly. This is my mom,
This-
Brenda.
I'm
Yep.
Brenda.
We didn't know anything of what was happening.
We've never been notified of a line change or a boundary change, ever. Neither does, like, we have the deed, right? My
Yep.
brother, who's being of this whole situation, Jim Harder, is saying that he's the one that's trying to get this 18 acres off of Ralph, no.
We know nothing
We
about
know
it.
nothing.
So,
All I know is in 1985, I come to Sydney Township, Sydney Township, and got the 17 point whatever acres, which is south of the Johnstown Road,
yep,
one field, and I had to take the whole field in order to get an acre. That's the rule at the time,
because of the natural
right, which is a natural separation. So we own that field. And it's part 8, lot 3, concession
date.
3, right? So we know nothing about the boundaries. Now, all we're trying to do is to give our daughter a lot
yep,
to build a house, right? Like my mom and dad, as Ralph said, is Harry and Vi Harder. I was a Harder, we're born and raised there. Nothing has ever changed.
well, unfortunately, the rules change a lot.
Yes, of course they do, but this boundary fight,
Yeah, the
we should
boundaries,
have no effect
boundaries
on
should
what my
not,
daughter's trying to do here.
yeah.
This,
Yeah. Any comments from the committee members regarding this application?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I know along with my colleagues, I went and looked at it, and I'm well aware of the area, because I've sat on council a couple of days, I guess, so, and sat on planning, unfortunately or fortunately, but I think as far as the ownership of the property and the property lines, it's got to be done legally through a legal matter. I think, like you say, it's beyond us right now.
Yeah.
There's got to be some research done and some proper documentation found, and see what went array or what are down the road. Before we even get to the severance here, that I think has to be resolved to make sure everybody's got a legal piece of property to deal with and get that straightened out. As far as the severance, I think we've read the recommendation from our city staff, and Ralph is right. It's A2 or A1, A2 agricultural land, and of course, our staff is denying your request and asking us to deny it. I went and looked at it. There has been times in the past when, as you know, we have massaged the odd piece of ag property, but this one here stands by itself, and there's really no room, I don't think, for us to look at it in a different manner. And I'm sure if we approve this, it's not going to pass a rezoning, because I'm sure staff, and Kelly, I'm sure, or Anne Marie will comment, it'll be denied the rezoning too. My suggestion is right now, we defer this.
Yes.
because I think there's too many unanswered questions, and if you want to resubmit, I would say give it a go, but giving the information we have here and the designation on the property, I would say it would be pretty hard to support this one. The other ones, we did have some wiggle room on them, but this one, to me, it stands out as there were two clear agricultural operations on, and I know I did get a letter from James Way Farms saying that they had no problem with it and they rent it, but it's still and for all, Mr. Harder said the same thing, he wanted to build a house and he couldn't, there is restrictions, yeah. If you want to come up after, you certainly, the chairman, at the chairman's wish, you can do that. So I'm going to make that, I'll put that out there. I think we should defer this, but it's up to the rest of the committee how they feel.
Yes, I'll agree with Councillor Jim. Sometimes we get requests for severances from agricultural land, and we take a look at the parcel, and sometimes it's not farmable whatsoever. And the lot configuration is in an area where, you know, it doesn't hinder what is left. But this, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, is prime, flat agricultural land. And,
Even though we rent it, like, we have the option not to rent it.
oh, yeah,
And not to even farm it, so it just grows up into a weed.
yeah, well, that.
Because we don't have the capability of farming it. We're
Right.
too small to be classified as a farm.
Right, but it goes to the zoning of the property, that's the
I
biggest thing.
understand that.
So as a secondary, I can technically build a house there as a secondary dwelling, even though it's agricultural land as well. So how is that any different than trying to go through the ropes and get through the red tape and do everything right, paying the fees, paying the, all of the things that I'm asked to do? And I could technically go and be on the deed with my parents and do a second dwelling, or they can do a second dwelling, and it doesn't affect the agricultural land that you're saying.
Kelly, could you explain the consequences of what they're suggesting?
So, you're certainly right, Holly. You could do a second dwelling unit on the property as long as you complied with the stipulations that we would lay out for that second unit in the zoning bylaw. As some of the committee members have said, like, this is smack in the middle of an agricultural area that's been identified through provincial exercise and the city's exercise to identify what lands are prime agricultural lands. And it doesn't matter about lot size for that. You know, it doesn't matter. Soils will go across multiple lots that are considered prime agricultural. So it doesn't really matter about that your land is small. And one thing that the province doesn't like us to have are little holes or pockets where we're saying, okay, that's not prime ag, but this is. It's all contiguous. And some of that is also then related to how that residential use will impact on existing farm operations. So in terms of the minimum distance separation that the province has put out, that in terms of both from residences from barns or manure, and then vice versa from farms to residential properties. So there is some slight differences when you look at going to a farm to a residence or residence to a farm. So we'd have to look at that in terms of your second, if you were to move forward with a second dwelling unit, how and the placement of that and in relation to those existing farms.
Okay, so that's already been identified on this surveyance, right? The application. There is no operating farms around us. There are
Currently.
But if
crops.
they wanted to, it's impacted.
Pardon?
If they wanted to put a barn or something, it's
Yeah,
impacted.
that's why I say currently there isn't, but they do have the option to do that.
Who's they? You mean the neighbors?
The area farmers.
Okay, how far away does a actual farm have to be?
There's different distances. Kelly, could you elaborate on the minimum distance separation for barns and
Sure.
currently what goes in those barns specifically?
Yeah, sure, through you, Chair. You're exactly right there. It depends on the type of livestock that a farmer may have. It depends on the type of manure storage that they are doing, if it's an open pit or it's closed in. And the planners, they usually take all of that information from the specific farm operation and it goes into a online tool program that the province has put together and with information about the size of the barn and the size of the property and whatnot. And then it spits out, it generates, it does the calculations, and it spits out a minimum distance separation that we have. So it really depends on what's in the area. And some animals and manure piles are more require greater distances than others. Like pigs, for example, they require quite a huge distance as opposed to a barn that maybe is just housing some horses or sheep. That kind of thing. So it really depends.
Okay, so around us, sorry to keep going on about this, just down the road is Jim Sandercock, okay? He runs a granary, strictly crops. He's the one that rents our farm, our land. Across the road is just a house, and next to it is Mr. Harder's house, who's my brother. And he's not gonna farm it, he's got crops. Ralph would be the closest neighbor to her if she got the lot. And I can almost bet you $1 million that he's not gonna farm either with animals. Everybody's crops. There is not an animal farm anywhere around us,
Any property could sell and someone. could
nor
own it
is there
forever.
going to be
No one lives forever.
in the near future. I
Yeah.
mean, how far down the future are you gonna hold it against somebody getting a lot? Like, I
Well,
don't-
Forever. Land lives forever.
Yeah, it's land use, it's the zoning of that land,
I understand
So-
it's agricultural land.
yeah.
You know, there is a housing crunch in Ontario, right?
We all have to eat.
And this is the most feasible way.
Counselor Jim?
I guess the other thing, yes, there's animal units and MDSs, but I can tell you, we've got complaints from people. Now, you folks don't mind living beside it, you know what's going on, but I can tell you, the way the province looks at it is when you happen to sell that house and somebody from Toronto moves in, they don't like the sound of a combine or the dust coming from it. We had a complaint north of Trenton here one Saturday from a cropper, cash cropper, because he was disturbing his Saturday afternoon barbecue because the combine was noisy and dusty. I don't think he realized where his Hamburg buns came from and whatever, but it's just not livestock. We've also had complaints in past years of grain dryers running all night, because when the harvest is on, sometimes they run them. I don't know how long Mr. Sandercock runs his across the
all
road.
night.
But I'm just saying, that's the way the province looks at it. I think Kelly and Anne Marie will say the same thing. It's, yes, there are restrictions because of livestock, but it's when you bring new people in and it's a different lifestyle, then the world's got to stop because you're making too much noise, too much dust. So it's just not always animals that the egg designation looks at. It's a whole array of things, and we have had complaints, I will say, not in your area just there, but I can tell you of a few other ones that we have had.
I completely understand.
Yep.
The other question I have is, when there was two or 3 years back, there was an approval of the exact same thing that I'm trying to do. Went through the exact same loops, exact same red tape, paid all the fees, did all their due diligence, and they were approved in pretty much the exact same area that I'm as well trying to do it. So I don't know how you can say this, and I understand what you're getting at. I get that there's, you know, people that come in and complain, but I've been part of the Harder family, obviously, and I want to come back into my area. I want to be able to look after my mom and dad when they're older. They're both
That'd be
not,
me.
they're both, my dad isn't here, he's not well. So it's literally just it's a push to try to bring family back together in a housing crisis that's feasible enough that I could afford due to the fact that the housing is really expensive. So giving the opportunity to be able to have a piece of land given is really good. So.
Actually, I think there's more than just one place.
Kelly, can you explain exactly what the conditions are for a deferral?
Again, through you, Chair, I would not recommend that you defer the application. Regardless of the issues of ownership and lot lines and all of that, which I think needs to get resolved, in terms of this particular application, that doesn't comply with our official plan, our zoning policies that we have. So the recommendation would be that you just deny it, let the lot lines and whatnot get sorted out, and if things change for this family, lot lines, they could look back and reapply. However, again, I'd say that our ag policies are not going to change that much. That staff recommendation would still be to deny. So I don't see the point of a deferral at this point.
Okay, thank you, Kelly.
Well, I'll change if that's the case and under staff recommendation, I will make the motion to support the recommendation. As
Support?
presented.
As a deferral?
As presented.
Or as a denial?
Yep.
Right, okay.
I second that.
David, second that? Okay, all in favor of denial? Thank you. Next application is consent application B4-25S, Michelle Schnaithman. Sorry if I butchered that. The Keith Watson agent. The legal description is part lot 30, concession 7, 85 Factory Road in Sydney Township. And the purpose of the application is to sever a parcel of land which would create one new vacant lot. Severed lot would have frontage of 46.7 meters, a depth of 138.3 meters, total area of 0.94 hectares. And the retained would have a frontage of 162.1 meters, a depth of 133.4 meters, and total area of 2.2 hectares. Any comments or concerns from the public regarding this application? Is an agent for this application here? No?
Yeah, Jennifer's
Yep.
Oh, okay, Jennifer, sorry.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yep, okay. Oh, so yes, it's Jennifer Matthews. I'm here from Watson Land Surveyors as the agent for this file. And I just, we're okay with the conditions moving forward with the approval, but I'd just like to have a little discussion about condition number 5, particularly with the drainage plan. I've had some discussions with city staff on this, and my concern with this particular condition is that if our clients are trying to sell a vacant lot, the minimum lot size is 0.4 of a hectare in Quinte West. This one is about 2.5 times that. So it's almost a full, 0.4 of an hectare, which is 1 acre. This one is 2.5 times that, which is almost a full hectare. So asking for the drainage plan, we don't really have a concern with that in general, but it's the part that it has to be registered on title that a future builder would need to build and comply with that drainage plan. Our client wants to sell a vacant lot, and the property does generally slope from the northwest down to the southeast. but we think that there's ample room to build a, typical 1,500 maybe square foot house in the middle and not impact any surrounding drainage. So we have had some conversations with city staff. They, they still want it to be registered on title, and I think it may be part of a bigger conversation to have with Quinte West staff in the future. But for this particular application, we would like to request that that condition be removed, or that it does not have to be registered on title.
Kelly, any comments regarding this request?
So registering that on title is exactly for the purposes of where the property is going to change hands and get sold. We don't want that information to get lost in that transaction. We'll have a new property owner coming and going, oh, well, no one told me that I had to do this lot grading plan or comply with an existing lot grading plan. So that's why we ask that it gets registered on title. I can understand Jennifer's concerns with that and the property owner's concerns with that for making it seem like it is something onerous to a new owner, to a new purchaser of that property. However, we were looking at being generous in terms of just putting on the building envelope. So looking at what the setbacks would be required from, the front and side yards and the rear yard, and looking at making sure that that drainage that would be coming off closest to those abutting property owners would not negatively impact them. And then should a new owner purchase the property and come forward to the building department with a building plan, as long as it is within that building envelope, I would say it should not impact and shouldn't be cause for concern of a registered lot grading plan on title. However, because it is sloped, and once we get more detail from a future owner of that property, the chief building official under the building bylaw has the ability to ask for another lot grading plan as well that would be more detailed and specific to drainage around the dwelling.
Does that answer your concerns, Jennifer?
Somewhat. I just wonder if my concern with this one is that I had asked Anne-Marie earlier today for a sample of one, because this is, we've done a lot of files, as you know, and this is the first one in Quinte West, I think, that we've had to register this on title. So our concern on behalf of our client is that if we do the drainage plan, our client would be comfortable doing the drainage plan within the setbacks of the perimeter only. That's fine. He would do that, no problem. But what we don't want to do is have any indication that there would be a proposed building in a location registered on title, and then if a new owner buys that and they want to build someplace different, how do they get that removed from title? Like, I just want to make sure that there's opportunities to build wherever in that building envelope in the future. That's what we want to achieve. So, I'm happy if there's any rewording of the condition that can achieve that. I think that our client would be happy with that and move forward with a hopeful approval tonight. If that's not something that we can reword to make sure that there's options for people to build where they want to in the future, because at this point, we don't know where someone's going to want to build. I know that the sample of the drainage plan that Anne-Marie had mentioned was that there was a suggested location to build from an engineer, which that's all great, but there is other locations that could be built as well. And we just don't want, if the drainage plan is done and say there's a proposal at the front of the lot, it's registered on title, then if I buy that lot and do a title search, it's registered on title that there's a suggested location at the front. Surely I could build at the back farther if I wanted to, and we want to make sure that that option is available to our client in the future and not just what's registered on title.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I could, Jennifer, yes, the building envelope is going to be quite large. And if a future purchaser of the land comes forward and wants to build in a different location within that building envelope, the chief building official will say, does it comply with zoning, right? That's the main thing. The building envelope is set by the setbacks that are in the zoning bylaw. So as long as they're going to stay within that, we're going to be comfortable with it.
Okay, if I could, would you be comfortable then, Kelly, changing any wording if I could suggest it to say that the drainage plan registered on title only has restrictions within the setbacks around the perimeter and not in the building envelope itself? That's really my only concern with it, is that we want to make sure that they can build wherever in that building envelope, that there's nothing on title that says they have to build here, they have to build here, they have to build here, that they can build however their designer at the time designs it.
Yeah, I think you sent sample wording to
I did, yep.
to Anne Marie earlier, and there was just the little second part of it. I don't have it in front of me. I don't know if you do, Anne Marie. That was the only thing that I would have crossed out. Like there was 4 or 5 words there, but the rest of it I was fine with.
Okay, if we can maybe clarify that to make sure, I mean, I think we can be comfortable with that wording and move forward. That's really, like I said, my only concern is that we want to make sure that a future owner, because we don't know who that will be, that they have the ability to build within the building envelope. That's all we want.
Okay,
Let me just get that wording, just one sec.
pardon?
I just want to make sure I have the right wording.
Okay. Anne Marie's working on the wording of condition 5 there for you.
Okay, thank you.
As far as the application is concerned, any other questions, concerns? I have a mover and a seconder.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Moved by Doug, seconded by Paul. That application B4-25S by Michelle Schneisman, Keith Watson, Land Surveyors, is the agent to sever a parcel of land at 85 Factory Road, Part Lot 30, Concession 7, in the former Township of Sydney, is hereby approved, subject to the following conditions. 1, that a registered survey for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. 2, that a draft transfer for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. 3, that the tax account for the subject property be paid up to date. 4, that a parcel of land measuring 10 meters from the center line of the road along the frontage of the severed and retained lands along Factory Road be conveyed for road widening purposes to the city at no cost to the satisfaction of Public Works. And I'll read number 6 while Anne Marie's working on number 5. That a zoning bylaw amendment be in effect for the severed lands pursuant to the Planning Act.
I don't write that fast. So it's the same, but then if you could just slide right in here, a drainage plan showing a building envelope using the required setbacks of the zoning bylaw.
Okay. All right, number 5, that a that a lot grading and drainage plan showing a building envelope using the required setbacks of the zoning bylaws, prepared by a professional engineer, be submitted to the satisfaction of the city, and the applicant enter into an agreement with the city, written and registered on title by the city councillor at the applicant's cost, addressing the owner's obligation to notify any purchaser of the requirement to comply with the approved lot grading and drainage plan.
It's by the city solicitor, not the councillor.
Pardon?
It's by the city solicitor, not the city councillor.
Oh, sorry.
I don't
City
think Jim
councillor.
wants to do it.
He's doing a lot of work tonight, so he just wants to take on something else.
I got that right, Jennifer, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, I think if the point of that condition is to make sure they can build wherever within that building envelope outside the setback, so that there's no restrictions on that on title, I'm happy with that.
Okay. That's what That's what it is.
Okay.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. This next application is B5-25S. Gary Botting is the owner. Legal address is Part Lot 1, Concession 2. The address is 148 Leicester Road. And the purpose of the application is to sever a parcel of land which would create one new developed lot. The severed parcel would have a frontage of 10.2 meters, a depth of 30.6 meters, and a total area of 679.3 square meters. And the retained would have frontage of 20.3 meters, a depth of 30.6 meters, an total area of 812.6 square meters. Any comments or concerns from the public regarding this application? Hearing none. Any comments or concerns?
Move the recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I second that.
Moved by Jim, second by David. That application B5-25S by Gary Botting to sever a parcel of land at 148 Leicester Road, Part Lot 1, Concession 2 in the former Township of Sydney is hereby approved, subject to the following conditions. 1, that a registered survey for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. 2, that a draft transfer for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. 3, that the tax account for the subject property be paid up to date. 4, that the 2 rear sheds and the Quonset hut on the retained parcel be removed or relocated to comply with the zoning bylaw, with confirmation provided by the Ontario Land Surveyor to the satisfaction of the city. And 5, that a zoning bylaw amendment be in effect for the severed and retained lands pursuant to the Planning Act. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next application is consent application B6-25M. The owner is a numbered company, 1136967 Ontario Incorporated. Legal description is Part Lot 8, Concession 6, east of 1124 County Road 5 in Murray Ward. And the purpose of this application is to sever a parcel of land which would create one new vacant lot. Severed would have a frontage of 44.12 meters, a depth of 90.884 meters, and total area of 5,357 square meters. The retained would have a frontage of 83.75 meters, a depth of 90.884 meters, and a total area of 1.15 hectares. Any comments or concerns from the public regarding this application? Hearing none. Any comments or concerns from the committee members? Hearing none. Have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Paul, seconded by Doug. That application B6-25M by 1136967 Ontario Incorporated to sever a parcel of land east of 1124 County Road 5, Part Lot 8, Concession 6, in the former Township of Sydney is hereby approved, subject to the following conditions. 1, that a registered survey for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. 2, that a draft transfer for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. 3, that the tax account for the subject property be paid up to date. 4, that the severed lot be reconfigured to achieve a minimum of 45 meters of lot frontage on County Road 5 in accordance with the City of Quinte West zoning bylaw. And 5, that is a parcel of land measuring 13 meters from the center line of the road along the frontage and severed and retained lands along County Road 5 be conveyed for road widening purposes to the city at no cost to the satisfaction of public works. And 6, that a daylight triangle measuring 5 meters along County Road 5 and 5 meters along Arbuckle Road as measured from the property line along the retained lands be conveyed to the city at no cost to the municipality for road widening purposes to the satisfaction of Public Works. All in favor?
I'm in favor, Mr. Chairman, but you said it was in Sydney and it is in Murray.
Yeah, good call.
It is in Murray. Did I say Sydney?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been a long night.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
County Road 5.
And Marbuckle Road.
Next application is consent application B7-25M. The owners are John and Mary Ann Kuipers. Legal description is Part Lot 8, Concession 6, west of 1254 County Road 5 in Murray Ward. Got that one right?
Yep.
Okay. Purpose of the application is to sever a parcel of land which would create one new vacant lot. Severed lot would have a frontage of 48.14 square meters, or meters rather, a depth of 78.93 meters, and area of 4,642 square meters. The retained would have a frontage of 88.96 meters, a depth of 78.93 meters, and total area of 9,499 square meters. Any comments or concerns from the public regarding this application? Hearing none. Any comments or concerns from the committee members?
Move the recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
A seconder? Paul? Yep. That application B7-25M by John and Mary Ann Kuipers to sever a parcel of land west of 1254 County Road 5, Part Lot 8, Concession 6, and the former Township of Murray is hereby approved, subject to the following conditions. One, that a registered survey for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. Two, that a draft transfer for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. Three, that the tax account for the subject property be paid up to date. Four, that parcels of land measuring 13 meters from the center line of the road along the frontage of the severed and retained lands along County Road 5 be conveyed for road widening purposes to the city at no cost to the satisfaction of Public Works. 5, that the lot configuration be modified to ensure that the retained parcel meets a minimum 1 hectare lot size to comply with MDS setback requirements. And 6, that a minor variance be in effect for any resulting deficiencies on the severed lands pursuant to the Planning Act. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could, on application B6, one just previous to that, did you do an all in favor?
Did I? We did, didn't we?
Right, or I asked the Secretary Treasurer, did you catch, maybe I just didn't hear it with me being virtual. I know you got a mover and a seconder, but I didn't necessarily hear all in favor.
I did mark it as all in favor, but I thought I heard it.
I thought I did it.
Yeah.
It's almost second nature, actually, but I've been distracted before.
You guys are in the room, I will take your word for it. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay, the next application is consent application B8-25S. The owner is the estate of Winifred Dockstetter. The agent is Teppelman Lawyers, Kevin Walsh. The address is 550 to 566 Bonesteel Road, Part Lots 11 and 12, Concession 3 in Sydney Ward. The lawyer is requesting a validation certificate from the city to register on title under Section 57 of the Planning Act. There are no circulation requirements for a validation certificate, nor is there any appeal period. Now, this gets into a whole lot of legal stuff that we don't normally deal with, but I guess we need to straighten it out anyway. Any comments from you, Kelly?
Anne-Marie will be better to walk you through this one if you would like, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes. This is a very unique title situation, kind of similar to the issue the gentlemen were speaking to previously. There was a discrepancy in the registration of the property. The registry office in the past did accept the registration of the deed for this property, but now, after it's been converted to land titles, they're no longer willing to accept the legal registration of the deed for the property. So the lawyer is asking for a validation certificate from the city that recognizes the fact that the road legally separates the property from the north side of the road from the south side of the road. I have no idea why the registry office has chosen not to accept it, especially since it has been conveyed in the past. But under the circumstance, we're recommending that the committee approve a validation certificate to be issued. As I said, there is no circulation requirement because nothing is changing. It's just saying, yes, that's the property that's always been there.
Okay. Any comments or concerns from the committee members? I have a mover and seconder. Moved by Doug, second by Jim. That application be 8-25S by the estate of Winifred Dockstetter, Templeman Agents, requesting a validation of title certificate for 550 to 566 Bonesteel Road, part lots 11 and 12, concession 3, in the former township of Sydney is hereby approved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next application, the consent application B9-25M. Owner is Marion Arlene McIntyre. Legal descriptions, part lots 1 and 2, concession 7, 317 Zion Road. Proposed lot is 279 Zion Road.
It's
And the
297. You said 279.
That's what it says.
You said 279. It's 297.
I'm corrected again. That's twice. Proposed lot is at 297 Zion. See, I get reading so fast, my eyes go faster than my mouth sometimes. Okay. The purpose of the application is to sever a parcel of land which would create one new vacant lot. The severed parcel would have a frontage of 79.67 meters, a depth of 79.25 meters, and an area of 6,340 square meters. The retained would have a frontage of 357.5 meters, a depth of 675.6 meters, and a total area of 40.2 hectares. Any comments or concerns regarding this application? Hearing none. Any comments or concerns from the committee members?
I'll move the recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Jim, seconded by Paul. That application B9-25M by Marion Arlene McIntyre to sever a parcel of land at 317 Zion Road. The proposed lot is at 297 Zion Road, part lots 1 and 2, concession 7 in the former township of Murray is hereby approved, subject to the following conditions. 1, that a registered survey for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. 2, that a draft transfer for the severed parcel be submitted to the city. 3, that a tax account for the subject property be paid up to date. 4, that a zoning bylaw amendment be in effect for the severed lands pursuant to the Planning Act. 5, that parcels of land measuring 10 meters from the center line of the road along the frontage and severed land or retained lands along Zion Road be conveyed for road widening purposes to the city at no cost to the satisfaction of Public Works. And 6, that a lot grading and drainage plan be prepared by a professional engineer, be submitted to the satisfaction of the city, and the applicant enter into an agreement with the city written and registered on title by the city solicitor at the applicant's cost, addressing the owner's obligation to notify any purchaser of the requirement to comply with the approved lot grading and drainage plan. The plan must also illustrate technical information which demonstrates that a building envelope is available and accessible, which can conform to regulatory policies, including technical information to demonstrate conformity with the water course crossing the stream valley policies to the satisfaction of the Lower Trent Conservation. Any questions regarding these conditions? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next application is a minor variance application, A1-25T, the estate of Ermina Milani, Keith Watson, agent. The legal description is part lot 14, registered plan 1554. The civic address is 20 North Elm Street in Trenton Ward. And the purpose of this application is to permit the proposed detached garage be constructed closer to the street than the dwelling with an exterior side yard setback of 1 meter. Any comments or concerns regarding this application? Hearing none. This is a Go ahead,
Sorry,
Jennifer.
it's Jennifer Matthews again, Watson Land Surveyors. We have certainly nothing to add to this, but happy to answer any questions if there is any. And looking for an approval, hopeful approval tonight.
Okay. Any comments or concerns from the committee members?
Well, I just noted in the information here about a shed has to be removed. I presume Jennifer, as client, knows that, or I wonder whether that's going to be a problem, or?
Yes, we are aware, our client is aware of that it has to be removed. I think during construction, it would be part of that. I'm not sure how the city implements that, but our client is fully aware that is to come down, yes.
Okay. Okay, I noticed on the drawing, and I noticed it was in the information, I just want to make sure everyone understood, or if that was going to be a problem, or it can be relocated or something someplace else, maybe, I'm not sure. Not a lot of room there after you get the grades there. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, could I have a mover and a seconder?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Moved by Doug. A second by
Second.
David. Sorry, I keep looking at you, David, but you're not moving too much.
It's a picture.
Could that application A1-25T by the estate of Ermina, I got an awful problem with names these days, Ermina Milani, Keith Watson, agent, at 20 North Elm Drive, part lot 14, registered plan 1554 in the former city of Trenton, is hereby approved to permit the proposed detached garage to be constructed closer to the street than the dwelling with an exterior side yard setback of 1 meter. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Jim's leaving.
Yeah. Just making sure we got this one in the right order here. Okay. Next application is a request for a change of condition. The application is B1-24M. The owner is 825678 Ontario Incorporated. The address is 133 Carter Road, Part Lot 11, Concession C in Murray Ward. This application was approved by the Committee of Adjustment on February the 8th, 2024. And the decision was appealed by the applicant to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, it was dismissed by the tribunal for non-payment of the appeal fee.
I would read the purpose. Just read the purpose of the application. I would read that as well.
Yep. The property owner is requesting to have condition number 4 removed from the provisional consent in order to allow the non-conforming structures to remain in their current location. However, it is noted that a site visit to the property by staff appears to show that even more non-complying structures and additions have been added to the property since the application was approved. Any comments or concerns from the public? Nope. Any comments or concerns from the committee members?
Mr. Chair, I don't see anything has really changed, and I personally think the condition should stand.
Any other comments from?
We discussed this at the prior meeting and agreed that it should stand, that the owner was willing to move them buildings.
Anything, Paul? Concur with the planning?
It's been an outstanding issue for
Yep.
Yeah.
20 years.
Yep.
And when I looked at it this week, it's worse.
Yep.
You can't even walk behind the trailers and everything.
Yep. Okay, I've been there a couple of times too, and I agree.
We discussed that off camera, right? Remember? Yeah, that it would stand.
I'll move that we decline the removal of the condition.
Okay, so that was moved, a seconder? Paul? That the request for a change of condition pursuant to the Section 53-23 of the Planning Act to remove condition number 4 from the provisional consent for application B1-24M by number company 825678 Ontario Incorporated to sever a parcel of land at 133 Carter Road, Part Lot 11, Concession C, in the former Township of Murray, is hereby denied because it does not comply with the City of Quinte West zoning bylaw. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Good?
Yep.
Okay. Next application is consent application B10-25S. The owner is a numbered company, 10010553339, Ontario Limited. Sui Mitz is the law firm as the agent. The legal address is Part Lots 1 and 2, Concession 4. The address is 1610 Trenton Frankfurt Road in Sydney Ward. In accordance, give the background, in accordance with Section 50-12 of the Planning Act, properties that were created through the consent process do not merge on title with adjoining land, which is usually the desired effect of a consent application. However, sometimes there is a desire to intentionally allow lands to merge on title, such as to enable lot additions or merge on title with the recipient lands. In the past, the way to facilitate lot additions to merge on title with lots created by consent was to convey a strip of land from the recipient parcel to the municipality as road widening in order to make the property different from what was created through the consent process. This was a messy way to enable the intended lot addition to merge on title with the benefiting lot. In 2022, Bill 276 amendments to the Planning Act enabled municipalities to issue certificates of cancellation. The effect of the cancellation certificate is that from the time of the registration on title, the parcel is no longer considered to have been conveyed with an unstipulated consent, and Section 50-12 of the Planning Act no longer applies to the parcel. It allows the merger of the previously conveyed property with any abutting land that the owner might own. There's no public circulation or appeal period for this type of application. Any comments or concerns from the public regarding this application?
Did Jim come back?
Yeah. Could you knock on the door and let Jim come back in for me? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I looked over and he wasn't there. He can,
He was grounded.
Yeah.
the printer okayed another one without you.
But we will allow you to make any comments or concerns regarding this application.
When I declare a conflict on?
No, that's already resolved.
We threw that one out. No, the last.
The merge on title application,
The cancellation. It's a cancellation.
or cancellation, sorry. Cancellation of.
Yeah. No problem.
Okay, I have a mover.
I'll move it then.
Okay, seconder. Doug. That application B 10-25S by number company 1001-05539 Ontario Limited, Sue Mitz Law Firm as the agent, granting a certificate of cancellation for consent application B 3-22S at 1610 Trenton Frankfurt Road, part lots 1 and 2, concession 4 in the former township of Sydney is hereby approved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask at your discretion, Mr. Harder had his hand up when we were going through with some of the deputations up here, and he didn't get, I don't know whether you didn't see him or not, but he wanted to express an opinion. Do you still want to come and express your concern, or maybe I'm not sure, but I'll leave it at your discretion. You are the chair.
Is that regarding the certificate of,
The severance in the farmland there on Johnstown Road. Yeah, the dock.
Dockstader? Okay, yep.
It falls under the same
Yeah, it,
deal, and I want to talk to the planning committees about what's going on. Because out there, you're pitting one neighbor against the other. In the Winnie Dockstader department, the Dockstaders are married into the Harder family, twice. And you got them feuding.
that's why I kind of looked at you when we were reading
Yeah, I know,
that.
but, and I took it, you're separating south of the Johnstown Road, or Bonesteel Road and north, not the other way. Because it's east and west on the concession third that the problem exists, and it goes to the, like I always said, when it gets to the river, all those houses on the Glen Miller Road are in the wrong lot. And you have to put pressure on the impact in that, because when I was dealing with it, impact pointed at you,
Pointed
at Quinte West, and Quinte West is pointing at impact.
registry.
We have no
And I went to the registry office in Peterborough, and they're pointing, they're going, no, it's not us. So who isn't looking after this? Like,
Well,
and young Sandercock built on Roarbeck Road, and that's prime agricultural land, and you deny Brendan Dean or a severance. I don't understand, it seems, and it's privilege. Like the tower I'm gonna discuss this and I shouldn't do it in public, but the only place that gets respect is in the public eye. Is the antenna that went on Bonesteel Road, the tower that went in there.
Yeah.
It was, when I talked to them, I went and said, listen, the deed is, the land deeds are wrong, eh? And I offered, I says, across the road from that tower site is Stokely Van Camp, had a 25 or 30-year lease with M&W Harder Brothers on the pea viners there, when it was back in Sydney Township. It expires in 2025, this year. So that 5 acres, what's it zoned? I could never find out what it was zoned for. And when Leslie Bonesteel built her house for her dad's retirement house across the road from the church, I voiced my opinion then. I says, I could, as a business, a farm business, and speaking to Jim Ali, you know that, like, I own 458 acres, and the income is $22,000 last year. On 450 acres. Like, it's a tough go farming, and I know it is, but nobody assisted when the dairy board and the TD Bank and the milk board and they all ganged up on me, and I went to Quinte West, and there was no assistance. John Williams says, well, we're a city here. We're not, like, they don't want animals in the city of Quinte West.
Seems to be diminishing,
it's
for
complaint
sure.
driven.
Yeah.
And then you're protecting the farmland, the Ontario government. Somebody needs to talk to the Ontario government and say, listen,
Yeah.
we need to, because all you're doing is, like, somebody's going to get violent one of these times. I'm going to lose 50 acres and I'm supposed to keep my calm.
Well, like like you said,
And-
you've
My
hired lawyers to look after that?
Yeah, but.
Yeah,
on
I know,
22 on
costly,
$22,000
right?
a year, I'm never gonna survey it. I have a way out. I'm incorporated. I don't have to sell, I don't have to take the land out of the corporation. I can sell the shares. As long as it was explained to me by Impact, the tax roll doesn't change, they can't do anything.
Like I said,
And I hope that holds.
like I said, a lot of that is over our
Yeah.
jurisdiction, for sure.
But the tower went in on Bonesteel's, and I offered to put it on the cement pad on the Stokely property because it's useless there. They, like,
Yeah.
City Township dump fill and gravel and rocks out of the ditches in there. Dad and Win were very good at helping the township. Byron Harder was reeve of City Township at one time. And this is a home farm. But the guy who organized it, it was a done deal. He says, it's a done deal, Ralph, I'm sorry. And he says, I says, well, how did they decide where to put this? Well, it was at the mayor's discretion. Sand Hill Farms, which is Santa Cruz, and Bonesteel's were brought up. Jim Harrison farms the Bonesteel property. Is that not a conflict of interest?
Like I
You know,
said,
you people don't want to hear about it.
Well, it's not that we don't want to hear about it.
And-
It bothers me to a certain degree, but it has nothing to do with this committee.
Yeah, well, the committee's, but it's a rezoning in that, and I'm
Yeah.
telling you the problems that are going on, and I stood
So-
up for Raymond Bush and the source water protection,
Yeah,
and the city of Quinte West, Matt came up, he had a meeting, Raymond asked me to come and stand in with them. He owns 203 acres on the Glen Miller Road. It's all under the source water protection except for 20 acres. The first meeting, no cows, no fertilizer, no sprays, no pesticides. Like I'm going, whoa. What's going on here? Where's the compensation? Well, there's no money for compensation.
yeah.
The second meeting, the mayor was Karen Sharp, the mayor, and all them. And then they come up with a deal where he fenced the cows out of 5 acres and they'd let it go away. And he's paying residential taxes on 203 acres, and it was quite a fee, eh? And now we've worked it out so that he's now a bona fide farmer and he gets the taxes reduced. And they've done very well.
Yeah.
But it gives Quinte West and the people a bad, like, it's just hard on the neighbors. And I see the neighbors, and it's heart-wrenching to see it. I've had my disagreements with Anne Marie over a house that's supposed to be torn down, but Impact came along and says, no, we're gonna put a value on it. So they put a value on it, I pay the taxes on it, and I use it for storage. It's gonna come down, but I've got the wiring out of it, the plumbing. I wanna recycle and be a good neighbor. I don't wanna tear it or burn it. Take that, but it's just one of those things that we can't, and Dexter, we wanted a lot extension for Dexter because my father promised him. Dexter's workshop sits on M&W Harder Brothers. He owns 1/8 of an acre, 2.8 acres. He spent, 15,000 or so money getting it surveyed and fixed all up. I give them the land, and then my accountant took the taxes out of the shareholders account, so I paid the taxes on it. That was a mistake. But I still pay the taxes every year on that property. And he loves it, like, why would he not? But we can't get it transferred because it's gotta be rezoned. And I apologize, Anne Marie, like it makes hard feelings. And Impact came and they wanted $7,000 from me for living in 2 houses at the same time for 3 years. And I didn't sign the papers. And they said, well, that's too bad. You signed the papers and sent them to Toronto. I says, no, I didn't sign it. I didn't agree with it. So they came out and measured everything on the farm. And we put every building we had that I could get on the taxes because of the A1 agriculture. I can't build. I can't put a post in the ground with cement around it without a permit because it's A1 farmland. But I can renovate buildings that are there. And they came back and they said, oh, we talked to Quinte West, the taxes are zero, Ralph, you sign this and we'll mail it away for you. I signed it, mailed it away, I got a bill from Quinte West for $1,500, so they got their money, but not $7,000.
Yeah.
But it hurts, eh? Because we don't make big money anymore. When I milked cows, we were handling $150,000 a year in income. Now we get 20. It's not nice, it's hard out there. And like Holly Ross is a single mother. And she should have been told that this isn't gonna happen.
She was.
I believe.
But she's out.
When she comes in to make an application,
Yeah.
Anne Marie or Kelly would
Yeah.
say, hey, you know.
Well, it should, like, it's terrible, like $6,000 is big money to a single mother with 3
Yeah.
kids. Like, it's huge money.
Yeah.
And.
We hate to do it.
I know.
We hate to do
I
it.
know.
You know, as I stated lots of times, different meetings, we try to make everybody happy
But you're
that
on.
comes here, but we
Yeah,
can't.
but you're on
It's not possible.
you're on the committees, you have more pull than I have when it comes to talk to Impact. They don't want to talk to me.
I'm a public member. I don't get paid.
I know, and it's discouraging, eh, when you go and talk to these people and they just ignore you. Like,
Yeah.
I spent $400 at the surveyor, he's figured out that it was a private survey, and then the second survey was done by 2 surveyors. It stumped him why 2 surveyors were involved in this survey. And now they're overlapping the third and the second survey, and it makes it confusing. And why they do that is beyond me. And when I talked to Impact, they said, no, you've got the right property, you got the right amount of acres. So I'm paying taxes on 458.1 acres, you must have a real good accurate. Yep, but they give me, what is it, 18 acres of my brother's lot on lot 10 in the tax thing. And it's, Anne Marie,
That you're
you
paying
just
for.
look up the taxes for M&W Harder Brothers, and the back part is over on Dexter's by 18 acres. I says, how can that be? But, and to them, it's the gospel truth. No, Jim Harder owns this 18 acres out front. And I don't think I'm gonna be able to get it back, because he registered it.
Well, all I can say is you've got a mess going on.
Well,
that
then,
area,
yeah,
and-
but
And
these,
hopefully it'll work out once you
Yeah.
get, I hate to say it, but, once you go through the courts and.
It's gonna be
it's gonna cost you,
wicked
and
amounts
your
of
other-
money.
Your other neighbor is gonna cost you.
But they did
too.
it on County Road 22 where the Ontario government did it. So Quinte West should look at it and apply to the Ontario government to have it fixed.
Yeah.
Because they are collecting the taxes on it.
Is that in Brian Jardine's wheelhouse to look at stuff like that, or no?
You'd have to ask Kelly, I don't think so.
Kelly? No? Is that in Brian's,
I think your mic's off, she probably can't hear you.
sorry, I turned my mic off. Is that in Brian's jurisdiction, Brian Jardine? To
No.
look at? No?
No.
But it is planning, right? Planning,
Property ownership like that and mistakes
I-
that were made by previous surveyors? No, that's not planning's jurisdiction.
That'd be a court.
no, but the
It needs to go to
zoning would
court.
be. Zoning would be, right?
Zoning would be, yes, absolutely, but that's not this gentleman's issue.
No. Like I said, he's got more issues than what we can deal with.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you the problems existing.
No, I
Quinte West.
understand
I'm sorry
your-
to take up your time. It's,
I understand your frustration.
I know, it just, every day goes by, it just adds to it. And
I own 31 acres just south of Sterling. And out of my 31 acres, I'm allowed to use 12.
Yeah,
So there's 3 different jurisdictions that control what's left.
yeah.
So I hear you.
Yep, and like I said, we've had lots of business with the city of Quinte West too,
Yeah.
like Chris Angelo spread biosolids on the farm, and the neighbors all raised a big stink over it, because you know what you're spreading. Now, 2 out of the 3 neighbors that complained about it are using biosolids
Yeah.
from the city of Trenton. And I'm going, yeah, it was fertilizer. And we just can't seem to win, eh, when you're farming, but.
Yep.
Anyway, that's why I still got 2 cows, because I don't wanna come and ask you, like, the price of cows now, but now's the wrong time to get into cows, is it, Jim?
Should be in them now.
Okay.
Thank
could-
you, thank you
could
for
I-
your time.
Yeah. Could I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Jim, second by Paul. All in favor?
Gary.
You never meant that so much, did you?
Oh.
Well,